Hello. Henry, how are you? Can I get an audio check? Bob Labs, welcome aboard. Can I get an audio check on YouTube also? Hey, Chris, XD94, welcome aboard. I just had a super quick lunch. So, YouTube says I am transmitting. Sounds good on Instagram, thank you. My framing is weird, I know that. Sounds good there. Somebody tell me what's going on YouTube. It says I'm transmitting, but I'm not getting any. I'm not getting anything. Unconformable coatings. Welcome aboard, sir. I need one volunteer to go over to YouTube. Hey, man. So YouTube is up. Thank you. Is the audio good? I'm a little self-conscious about that almost. So a few things about the setup here. I will go officially. We are no longer standing by. A couple of weird things about the setup. I am obviously not in the shop, but I am in a location I've been in before. Thank you, Henry. Is this thing on? Hey, Wes, how are you? I'm all self-conscious about it working, so please give me an audio report, Wes. I just want to make sure everything's good here. So normally when I'm in the shop and I'm doing the PFG live, I have this weird little setup where both cameras are within an inch of each other. And so when I'm looking at the camera, I'm looking at it appears like I'm looking at both Instagram and YouTube. That is not true right now. So Instagram's over there and YouTube's over there. So it's a little weird for me, but I will try to make the best of it. But you can always tell who I'm paying attention to. Now we can start. Chris is here, the pragmatic machinist. Welcome aboard, sir. Indiana John, welcome. I want to see more people saying hello on YouTube. X-Ray Fun, welcome aboard. So if it makes you feel any better, I'm broadcasting via my iPhone, which I usually use for Instagram. Hey Bart, welcome aboard. And I'm using my laptop running OBS, just like I do at the shop, except it wasn't set up. So in the last 15 minutes, I got everything set up. So let's see. I got a bad feeling I'm not seeing chat properly. So let me pop out the chat window here. There we go. It wasn't showing me the whole window. It's not your fault. Almost says, long time no watch. Took some time after the night shift. Back to scraping and working in the shop, though. Excellent. I think you posted some scraping thing that recently, didn't you? I'm changing glasses so I can actually see what I'm doing. It's kind of weird. Chat. Roger, Chris, thank you. So yeah, OBS has a weird bug. If you stick the chat on the top window, it doesn't scroll. I don't know why. Mr. Boliviera, welcome aboard. Brian, howdy. So we're also looking for an Andy. Is there an Andy in the wings here? I have it on good authority that there's a gentleman named Andy who knows my sister, who's been watching. Ah, got it. So almost is struggling with some scraping stuff, but getting there. Chris says we need to finalize the artwork for the Chris gauges. Yes, we do. They're happily waiting for you. And and yeah, Bart moved over to YouTube. Excellent. Yeah, I want more YouTube action. That's actually good. So so let's see. I am going to take so Chris and everybody who's been following the Chris gauge saga. I am going to be taking my setup piece and doing an engraving on it to make sure I have my laser engraver set up correct. And let me explain to you how the laser engraver works. I use a fiber laser engraver, so it's operating at a wavelength of about a micrometer, a micron, and you can etch metal with it. It will etch metal, whereas the CO2 lasers will not etch metal. So what you can do is etch the metal, or you can actually oxidize the metal and do a color change, which is exactly the same as a tempering color change. And it comes out really neat. It has no, basically almost no dimension to it at all. It doesn't etch the metal, and the only thing it does, though, it puts a little more heat into the part than we would like. So it'll be a very interesting. So Wes says we should engrave the shark with laser beams. In other words, the PFG laser shark um, on them. So that's up to Chris. Chris does have some interest in the laser shark. Indiana John says, I have a knife with color laser engraving on it. Yeah, that's how they do it. So basically, they're getting the local metal up to the tempering temperatures that make the different colors. And it might be a little easier on titanium than on steel. But I did it on steel a bunch of times. You may recall seeing Clarence, the modified grinding vise. And Clarence, we put Clarence's logo on there, and that's exactly how that was done. MOPA. So you have to, X-Ray Fund, please acronymize that for me, because I don't know what MOPA is. But I'm sure we're going to learn. So I will attempt to get those settings sorted out. And Chris, you just need to take a pencil and an envelope and sketch out what you think you want, and we can take it from there. I use Adobe Illustrator to get my laser art ready. So plus I have on hot standby, I have an artist, so we could probably make something work. And the laser shark is available. In fact, we could take the laser shark, if you just want to make a little teeny laser shark on the end of the gauge, in the corner, we could do a tiny laser shark. But we'll do whatever you want, buddy. So I am on the road. That should be pretty obvious. MOPA fiber can do RGB on stainless, changing pulse length. Right, and that's exactly the same thing. I think there's some software out there that's done a good job of making this easier, but getting that temperature right, which they're doing with pulse length, is what gets you your colors. So we will see. Joel says, I received I received the 6-inch PFG stones already. Surprised face. Ordered on Tuesday with custom engraving, and they arrived yesterday. Thanks for such amazing service. The PFG Stones are amazing as advertised. Joel, thank you. I mean that. I have to say I am allergic to unfulfilled orders. So when orders come in, when I get a moment, I check. I ask the question: can I fulfill this order right now? And if the answer is yes, I frequently will just head right down and do it. CNC 8.3. Hey, buddy, welcome aboard. And we have BFD 4317. I'm not exactly sure what BFD stands for in your case, sir, but I know what it stands for up here. And you're a big deal. You're welcome, Joel. Happy to help. I also have the engraving on the stones is got a very solid recipe. So the way it works is when you order a set of stones and you order some custom engraving, I go downstairs. Remember, I already have a recipe for engraving on the stones because I engrave every one of them. So I have the recipe for the laser. That's all set. So I bring up Adobe Illustrator, and I have a file which is all set up with the font and everything for engraving text by order on the stones. So I just bring that up. I type in what you told me to type in, and I double check it, and then I triple check it, and then I quadruple check it, and I check it again, and then we hit the button and we let it rip. So it actually goes reasonably fast getting the engraving on the stones for you. So that's cool. You know, I'll tell you one capability that nobody has asked for yet, and I advertise it. And that capability is if you want to put your company logo on there, we could do that too. Nobody has asked for a logo. Everybody has asked for text, which is fine. We had a very interesting one. I don't think it was yours. Somebody asked for something that said exclusively ground for, and I don't want to repeat the name, but that was kind of cool. So the short version of all of that, Joel, was you're welcome and happy to help. So I am in the South, not the deep South. I am in the little bit South, in New Jersey, and you probably heard me mention that my mom is moving up closer to me. So that's awesome. So we're working on that. So if you look in the background here, everybody can actually see it here. This is for Instagram. See the shelves right there? Okay, they're empty. And this is for YouTube. There's the empty shelves. Okay, folded up ironing board. So the last time I was down here in New Jersey, I did my live from that desk right over there, looking this way, and now we're doing it 180 degrees out of position. Oh, exclusively ground was for Joel. Okay, yeah, it was awesome. So when I did that, Joel, I checked it 17 times to make sure I got it right. So let me finish this story, and then we'll attack what Almost just put in there. So this was my dad's desk, and his ham radio station was here. Right. So I may have mentioned that before, but you know, months back when I was down here, we did the last ham radio contact from Dad's station, and that was important to me, and that was with my buddy Steve, who may or may not pop in. So Steve sent me a QSL card. You hams know what I'm talking about, and that is up on my bulletin board in my office at home, and that was the last contact from here. So we are literally days before, like 2 days before heading out of here. Let's see, it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. I think Tuesday we are literally rolling out of here and gone. So I'm pretty excited. The movers are coming. We've been packing. We're over. I believe Jackie is my sister. Jackie has been the box librarian and packer. She's been unbelievably fantastic at it. And I think we're at 104 boxes. The real Mr. Fabulous. Welcome aboard, sir. John, my neighbor, welcome. Two neighbors in a row. Draga, welcome. Amir, welcome. Mech Everett, welcome aboard. That's all on Instagram. Oh, sorry. It's 1:15. So Almost Machining says, question for the masses. The coating wax, dip seal. You guys are familiar with dip seal. Is it supposed to have so much oil? The blocks melted down quite nicely, but it kept over an inch of the oil on top, not working so well. So if anybody here is familiar with dip seal, let's see if we can get Almost's question answered. I have never used it. It sounds like you have to prepare it and heat it. I've never used it. So if somebody here knows dip seal, let me know. John asks, Mommy Webb moving closer? Yes, Mom is moving closer. And when I see you, and maybe when we go have some lunch when I get back, I will tell you exactly where she's moving, and you'll get a kick out of it. Alphonse, welcome aboard. So we've been down here for days, packing and getting stuff ready, and what this means, of course, is that at home, nothing's happening. So there are orders piling up, which is making me crazy. But the other thing that's happening, and you guys knew about this before, is that I still have back orders with Norton. So the 4-inch rectangular stones still on back order. Hopefully when I get back and I go beat on their heads, they have it ready for me. But this is making me a little upset. So I know there's a half a dozen orders that are waiting on 4-inch stones, and I apologize. But as soon as they're in, I will jump on it. It also means that I'm not doing my consulting work while I'm down here, so there's backlog there also. So that's also driving me crazy. But the important thing is Mom and taking care of Mom. So we're doing that, and I think it's going to come out really well. Sophie, hi Sophie, my math friend. How are you? I hope you're having a magnificent Sunday. Maybe doing some more math. Who knows? Anyway, so that's what's going on here. Cleaning up, finding treasures. A lot of Dad's little tools were uncovered. Of course, a lot of stuff has to get tossed, which is you know, 3 moves is as good as a fire, and I understand why now. Just we're Marie Kondoing everything as much as we can. So far so good. Which brings up an interesting topic, which nobody wants to think about, which is if you got hit by a bus tomorrow, what happens to your shop? And I know there's a lot of other things to think about, but I'm specifically asking the question, what happens to your shop? So I've been thinking about this for a while, and you can imagine why. And hey, K-Bonk is here. Now the party can start. Welcome aboard, sir. So I've been thinking about this, and I think I've come up with an outline of a procedure to deal with this. Yeah, Indiana John says he was pondering that last night. So here's my plan. We all have a circle of friends, and some of them are older than us, and some of them are younger than us. Yeah, K-Bonk is downsizing right now. So what I have figured out is that I've got younger friends, younger by 20 years, okay? And that's a good number, 30 years. And of course, I got a bunch of friends that are 6 weeks either side of my birthday. That doesn't help. But it's a fair bet that if you know somebody 20 years younger than you, that when you kick off, they're going to be around. So I've got some buddies that are younger, 20 years younger, in various areas. IT, right? Computer stuff, shop stuff. Art asks, Art, actually it's Wes. Wes asks, you have friends? Actually, I rent them. It's like a new service from Uber. You can actually get online and have a friend show up. Not like that. No, stop it. Anyway, I have a couple of friends. Friends I trust, many fewer. So you got, do you have an IT friend who's a good IT wizard and maybe even smarter than you? I do. Do you have a good machine shop friend who is as crazy as you are, buying equipment, owning equipment, running a shop, but 20 years younger? I figured out I do. So you pick each of these categories. Of course, we're selfishly picking our machine shop activities, right? And Mr. T. Sanchez Moraes, welcome aboard, sir. So I'm going to have me a cup of coffee, or tea in my case. And by the way, yes, because I'm not home, it's a lot harder to have my tea ready. So I'm going to have myself a meeting with these nice folks, and I'm going to assemble a committee. Now nothing's going to get done. I'm going to assemble a committee and assign, will ask if they will help me by allowing me to assign them the job of helper. If you go into somebody's shop, it's not your shop. If you're sort of in the same vintage and skill level, you know what you're looking at, right? You could open up a toolbox and this is crap and this is very valuable. Same with machines. You could look at a machine and say, this machine is very valuable. Indiana John says, I haven't met any 2-year-old machinists yet, but when I do, I'll absolutely add them to my will. And Indiana John, you're now on my list. You freaking wise guy. Ramrod, welcome aboard, Ramrod. So, don't worry, almost. Almost is behind. He just received his package. He says, Wes, I have your package. Okay, so Wes sent almost a package. You guys can negotiate this stuff in chat. That's fine. Anyway, so I'm gonna identify my shop buddies who can manage this stuff. There are companies that you can call and just say, come sell my shop out. And the guy shows up and just hauls everything away. The problems are, as you might imagine, they won't value your stuff like you value your stuff. But it takes the load off your family. And that's the thing. So I would encourage everybody to have that sort of plan start to get formulated, especially if you have a machine shop. Like I have 1, 2, 3. Well, I've got 3 CNC machines. The grinder is pretty specialized. And then I've got a Bridgeport. I got a compressor. So somebody who knows what that stuff's worth and how to make it, how to liquidate it. If you're lucky, that person could be your offspring. But my offspring are not into machine shoppy stuff yet. So anyway, I don't want to get morbid, but I do want to point out that it's important to have that plan in place so you don't leave a big pile of problems. So Tuck Garage says, I just got the next inheritance for my machine shop. Great. anyway, we're open to any of your questions, topics, suggestions, rants, complaints, um, or rambling stories that lead absolutely nowhere. So if you have any of those, please feel free to jump in. And because I don't have anything to show you today. What do you mean about offspring? I don't understand. My son is about 15 years old, and he has not yet got the machine shop bug. Certainly not the metalworking bug. He's a software. He's a computer kid. So he wouldn't know what to do with that stuff yet. That's what I mean. Offspring means my son, daughter, etc. Yeah, Ramrod. Ramrod understands. Ryan, Rinnock Forest, welcome aboard. Yeah, but you never know. You never know. You know, it could be he could wander into the shop one day. You show him Fusion 360, and then you show him something actually making chips, and it could be the lightning could strike. You did miss the intel on Mom. I will give it to you shortly. So some of you are joining late. You're forgiven. Let's see. Indiana John says, thoughts on moving heavy machines. There's a 6,000-pound horizontal mill I am eyeing. So, Bob Labs repeats an old axiom, which is, my only fear is that when I die, my wife sells my shit for what I told her I paid for it. It's true. Okay, so thoughts on moving heavy machines. I'll be very honest with you. When it comes to moving heavy machines, I move them. I have a thing. It's a fantastic tool. It's never failed me, and it works every time, and it's very non-traditional. Actually, it's a little traditional. It's called a checkbook. I move 6,000 pounds, 6,000 pound machines. I move it with a checkbook. Here's a free plug. Hashtag not sponsored. Interstate Rigging out of Newton, New Hampshire. Ed Wallace is awesome. That's all I'm going to say about that. I trust Ed absolutely. In fact, he's part of this plan where if I kick the bucket, one phone call to Ed and that stuff moves, and that's easy peasy. So I know you want to do it yourself, but that's how I move 6,000 pound machines. Yeah. So if one guy could learn how to move heavy machines, another guy could learn how to move heavy machines. So I think it's totally doable. So let me get K-Bonk caught up on Mom intel here. So I am down in New Jersey. I am packing up Mom. Notice emptiness here. And Mom's moving up to the great state of Massachusetts. So I'm sorry, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So that's all happening like now. That's why I'm down here. Almost Machining says, move them with insurance. That's right. So K-Bonk, you're up to date. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, when Ed comes in and moves, Ed and his team, it's not just Ed, he's got a team of professionals. When he shows up and he moves stuff for me, boy, I am happy to spend every cent that I paid him. He's fantastic. All right, we do have questions coming in here. So let me just jump on them here. Let's see. Is it a bad idea to flake a ground surface grinder chuck? So, we flake things to make oil retention space. And I could see where you might think that's not a bad idea to improve getting your parts off so that as you're pulling your part up, air has a way to get under it. I think that's where you're going. So I've never heard it done. I've never, ever, ever heard it done. So is it a bad idea? I think it's a waste. I think you're wasting your time. I don't think it's a particularly good idea. If you can make the case for why you should flake a ground surface grinder, Chuck, I'll be open to listening. So for those of you, some of you may not be into scraping, but you may be familiar with what a scraped surface looks like. If you go into your machine ways and you see that gorgeous pattern, okay, that's called scraping. And the next stage of scraping is called flaking, and that's those nice half moon marks, if you do it right, that you see on a lot of scraped surfaces. That is called flaking. And Tuck Garage is asking about flaking a ground surface grinder check. I think if you're asking that question, Tuck, we need to talk, because maybe something's not right. My dad had luck that my dad had luck that I like machining. Yeah, exactly. So Tuck, let's talk. Tuck says Hillman rollers are fantastic machine skates whose combined with toe jacks has moved my whole garage. Yeah, so I think everybody who is in here can become a decent machine mover, okay, and rigger. I don't deny that, and it wouldn't scare me to do that. But if I don't have to do that, if I could just write the check, I want to write the check. So look at John Saunders, my friend John Saunders at Saunders Machine Works. He took it on as a challenge, and he and his team have learned how to move machines. So it is learnable. Let's see. Indiana John says that you think they may. So you think Interstate Rigging might have done that? Yeah. If he dealt with Ed Wallace, you won't forget. He's a super guy. Welcome aboard, some new folks. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. Michelle, welcome aboard. Yeah, Tuck says agreed with mover recommendation. Anyone can do it. Just be careful. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. K-Bonk reminds us that Ox Tools has a great YouTube video about moving machines. Okay, so Almost says flaking or frosting is a visual look. More machines use it as part of the fit and function. If it is on a surface to be seen, it is for looks. Normally done with a power scraper, K.O. Lee did it on sides of tables for looks, never on the ground chuck surface if it is for use. You run the risk of parting scratches or changing the way the mag pulls stuff down. Okay, so I will disagree with one thing you said, which is that flaking or frosting is a visual look. It does look cool, but it has a purpose in machine ways of providing an oil reservoir. It's about 2,000 deep, and it provides a place for oil. I will also agree with you that it is frequently used as something that looks cool. And it does look cool if you're good at it. I've seen some crappy flaking on a Bridgeport hack rebuild that didn't impress me too much. I also agree that you don't need it. I don't think it solves a problem. So Indiana John says, I've moved most of my machines. The trickiest part has been getting them loaded at the seller's shop. For some Swiss screw machines, I had to build a crane with a buddy. Okay, Tuck. So if you have to build a crane with a buddy to get something out of a seller's shop, here's the problem. Oh, there he is. MHM Machine Works. I indirectly referred to you today. Uh, I'm supposed to say welcome aboard. There we go. Andy, I said welcome aboard. Uh, I disagree that if you go to a seller's shop and you're going to do it yourself, you have taken on risk. And you're at a third party who you don't know and you don't have any relationship with except you're buying this machine. And if something happens during your extraction of that machine, you are in a world of hurt. So somebody said, Brian said, professional rigor with insurance equals smart move, and that's why. If you're moving your own machine across the shop, have a ball. But if you're showing up at Joe Smith's house because you just bought Joe Smith's Haas TL1 and you're going to move it, and that sucker tips over, and heaven forfend, it tips over on somebody, you're in a deep state. So if you're buying something from someone, I can only tell you what I would do, and what I would write a check to Ed Wallace. So fast, it'll make your head spin. That's what I would do. So let's see. You know, the iPhone you sweep on, and the Mac does not. I don't have a touch screen, so I have to remember which. Anyway, you don't need to know that. What else we got here? Indiana John says those were getting scraped, and it was at a guy's house on Long Island. It was very much worth the risk. if you're calculating your risk, take the risk. Listen, I'm a risk taker. I just don't take uncalculated risks. Okay, I'm a licensed pilot. I've taken lots of risks. Just don't take stupid risks. Yeah, so almost brings up a really good point. He says frosting on a surface that catches oil and chips isn't protected as a place for. So on a Bridgeport, this is a pet peeve of mine. Of course, it wasn't a pet peeve until I took a scraping course and I learned how to scrape with Richard King. And you look at a Bridgeport, right? You pull up the rubber cover, and oh, they were getting scrapped. Okay, not scraped. You pull up the cover on a Bridgeport, you look down, and you see, if it's done nicely, you see scraping and beautiful flaking. Well, if you're looking down on the surface and it's scraped and flaked, I've got to have both screens here. Scraped and flaked so that it's going to be a way surface. I now understand that that surface should not be flaked. The surface riding on it should be flaked. Okay? So for exactly the same reasons that Almost just said, it doesn't act like a bunch of cups for grit. The natural flow of the oil is going to clean that surface off, and it's not going to accumulate. So I totally agree with you on that one. Yes, Brian says, always had new machines shipped directly to my rigger, who then delivered to me. So when I bought the Okamoto, my favorite machine at the moment, don't tell my other machines. Hey, James Howe, welcome aboard. When I bought the Okamoto, it's exactly what we did. It shipped to my rigger. And actually, when it came in, he called me up. He said, it's in. So I went to visit it before it came to my shop. And it was pretty cool. He also showed me the video of him getting the machine from another guy who was just awesome. So, I easily could have saved thousands of dollars by picking the cheaper guys. I'm glad I did not pick the cheaper guys. It was just a joy to have the grinder delivered by Interstate. Proto mechanic. Does that mean you're the first mechanic? You're the very first mechanic? So I agree with you, Brian. That's the way to do it. Uh, anyway, and none of this stuff is cheap. I understand. I totally get it. But it's worth it. Why did Ed have a video of the machine being delivered for him? Oh, that's a good question. It was the security footage. He has cameras like I have cameras, like you have cameras, okay? So he showed me the security footage, which is pointing out the, what do you call it, the back or the front? I guess you'd call it the back of his shop, where the big doors are, of this truck pulling in, this huge, transport truck. And they had the covers that are on tracks, and they kind of pull the cover off of it, and they were sitting on a flatbed. So I watched that truck arrive. This is on his security cameras. I watched that truck arrive. I watched him inspect it, the forklift come out, pick the grinder off the truck, and then put it into his shop. So, Ed showed me the whole process. And I have to tell you, there was not the tiniest scratch on that machine. It was clean as a whistle from, coming from Thailand. So was I happy? I was very happy. So yeah, I agree with you, Brian. We're on the same wavelength. MT Schenkel. Is that Mount Schenkel? Welcome aboard. 734 Machine. Welcome aboard. I see some new names. Welcome. Let's see. So yeah, that's the story. That's my opinion on rigging. It's totally worth it. Now I say that respectfully because I know MHM Machine Works. Sorry, MHM Machine Works now has a flatbed trailer with a white line painted down the middle and a big number at the end. It looks like a runway. So yes, I know you're able to move big things, and I respect that. All right. What other topics, questions, comments, things we haven't covered do you guys have? Because I am out of airspace, airspeed, altitude, and ideas. I have some little goodies coming back to the shop. Nothing crazy. How heavy is the grinder? I'm going by memory here. I'm going to say that it was 3,500 pound class. So that might have included a couple of 100 pounds in the electronics cabinet. Yeah, MHM says, move big things safely. Good idea. Yeah, I'll say 3,000 pound class for the Okamoto. It's pretty beefy. It's not crazy beefy, but it is very stiff, which speaks to design more than it does weight. It's not like the old style of, oh, you would like it stiffer? We will add a ton more of cast iron. Indiana John asks, is scraping for oil pockets and flaking? No, it's the other way around. Scraping is for flatness. Flaking is for oil pockets. Oh yeah, exactly, Henry. Henry says, "Oh, pretty light compared to our old Young." Yes, there's no, the modern designs are very conservative of materials without giving up stiffness when possible. The old ones were just like keep adding metal. Yeah, Indiana John. So scraping, when you scrape, each scrape mark is a couple of tenths. It's like 2 to 4 tenths. And when you're all done, if you do your job right, you have 50% contact. So 50% of the surface area is contacting and it's contacting an imaginary plane. It's not so imaginary. It's contacting a plane which is flat, right? So you still have little pockets in a properly scraped surface. But then you come along and you flake, and you put in those beautiful flake marks more sporadically and deeper. So those are about 2/1000ths deep. So they're like pretty deep compared to everything else. And that's what holds your oil. But it also holds your schmutz. Yes, Henry, I did say that. Ah, excellent point. So Brian says less than honest sellers claim the flaking is scraping. Absolutely true. Hey, Aaron, welcome aboard. Wallatool. If you don't know what you're looking at and you walk up to a machine, it could look just have beautiful waves, right? They're gorgeous. Look at all that beautiful pattern that looks like somebody just did it, because maybe somebody just did it. Okay, catch you, Aaron. Thanks for checking in, buddy. Good luck with your new sink, if you know what I mean. And this is done sometimes really quick. They'll do a flaking job on a surface that may not be ready for flaking. Okay. Henry says, I hate the schmutz. Yes, we smear the schmutz. So now I have a Bridgeport, which I bought, that was rebuilt, and totally honest seller, right? I was totally happy with it. The table on the Bridgeport was ground and subsequently flaked. And it's totally fine. But the seller was totally honest, and my eyeball, you look at it, you go, oh, that was ground, and then it was flaked. It was not scraped and then flaked. But sometimes flaking is used as camouflage, and that's bad, very bad. Regina, welcome aboard. So good point. I didn't think we'd go start talking about scraping and flaking today, but we are. And that's a good skill. It's a skill that that I didn't expect to. I took the course not because I thought I'd be scraping for the rest of my life, but I wanted to understand it, and I wanted to do it if I had to do it, and I have. So, what else is going on? So if you didn't see the recent video from Adam the Machinist, who sometimes checks in on Sundays, but he is not here today, it's really cool. And he talks about a concept called peel grinding. And I got to talk to him because I have questions, but it was a great video. You should go watch it, especially if you have a grinder which is pure manual. Peel grinding is a technique which was born out of manual grinding. So James Howe says he's awesome. Yes, he is. He's very awesome. I like Adam a lot. I like all the Adams. We have an Adam with us today. We're talking about an Adam. I watched some barbecue from an Adam. And there's probably another Adam I'm forgetting. Oh, Almost Machining says, this discussion has provided me with a solution to the Atlas lathe. My job is done here. See you guys. That's all. See, that's why we're here on Sundays, is just so that we can solve problems. So please enlighten us. What are you going to do with the Atlas lathe? Are you going to scrape it? Or are you just going to flake it? Which I think is what you're referring to. Don't do that. That's very funny. Yeah, I love this channel too. I like both Adam and Robin Renzetti, Adam Demuth and Robin Renzetti, they publish videos when they have something to show. And I respect that. We, on the other hand, we make YouTube videos whether we have anything to say or not. K-Bonk says, I'm always flaking out on something, aren't we all? Almost says he needs to glue down hardened rails. Interesting. Robin Jedi. Yes, he is a Jedi. He was there. It's true, all of it. Hey, Joel's Purchase, how are you? We have multiple Joels, too, today. So if I call a committee meeting of Adam and Joel, 7 people are going to show up. See, I'm getting admonished by my relatively new Apple Watch that I should stand up now because it thinks I should stand up because it's not healthy to sit down. Yeah. So let's see. Andy, you haven't shown up. Andy hasn't shown up. Yeah, there are frequently other Johns. So we're going to have a committee meeting with John, Adam, and Joel. And we won't have enough chairs if they all show up. Oh, man. So what else is going on? What other topics do we need to attack here? But there is only one. How do you pronounce? So I know there's a K in there. I've been calling you Henry, and you haven't corrected me. So please phonetically tell me the correct way to pronounce your name. And if you don't, I'm going to keep calling you Henry. So Danny says, I first learned about scraping when Robin made a biax from a Sawzall. Let me tell you, Richard King can't stand when people do that. He thinks that's like amateur hour, and he's a professional, and he starts waving his fist in the air. Don't get me wrong, I took Richard's course. I think he's fantastic. He's an expert in what he does, but boy howdy, you do something like that, and he will be all over you. MHM Machine Works says, not sure who is talking about gluing hardened ways. See how this works? That was almost machining on YouTube. But Moglice, Moglice, might be a solution. Look up. So Moglice is an interesting material for repairing that. What does King's course cost? You know, when I took it, I want to say it was $1,200 or $1,500 or something. I think he's raised it a lot. I don't know. But bring a couple of grains of salt with you. And don't ask him about the camping joke. Do not ask him about the camping joke. Almost says, replace grinder bearings or ship to a spindle place. This relates to what happens when we pass. If one replaces the bearings, the cost can no longer be measured. Okay. Almost says, yeah, not hard enough. This is referring to the Moglice. This covers 4 machines. Atlas lathe was ground down. 3 surface grinders. I still need to talk to Robin a bit, though. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. The James Howe says he tried to get me with the camping joke. Fortunately, I knew better. Do not ask about the camping joke. Is there a date to move to full YouTube? Okay, so K-Bonk wants to know if I don't have a date, but I am liking what I'm seeing here about more people coming over on the YouTube. So I guess what we're going to do, here's my plan, the plan that's been in my head. As long as it's just me, we're not going to move over to YouTube solo yet. But we're going to have a multi-guest thing. Not multi. We're going to have 2 guests and me. And that can only be done on YouTube. So when that happens, we're going to do a YouTube only live with guests. It's going to be pretty cool. And that's going to be YouTube only. That might be the point where we switch over to YouTube. Does anybody, I know I've asked this before, does anybody have a complaint or a reason not to go YouTube live and YouTube only and ditch Instagram live? It doesn't mean I'll be leaving Instagram. I'll still be doing posting and stuff, maybe even some short little video things, but the lives will move over. Does anybody have a reason that's bad? I cannot pronounce that username. Oak. I'm going to go with Oak. Oak Katzel Schwaff. That's an awesome name if I could figure out how to pronounce it. Welcome. Welcome aboard, sir. I am certain you haven't been here before. So if anybody has a reason that going 100% YouTube on our PFG Live is a bad idea, I want to hear it. You hear that, you guys on Instagram? If it's a bad idea, I want to hear it. Because if everybody's totally cool with it, we could do it soon. All right, we got 5 minutes left before the top of the hour. Take care, Bob Labs. You're not going to miss anything. What could possibly happen in 5 minutes? Fad Radcator joined. Okay, Fad Radcator. Usually, Joel L. says, I think YouTube is a better forum for these lives. Well, I agree with you for a lot of reasons, for a lot of technical reasons. We can do more. We have better technical control. So I agree with you 100%. Fad Radcator, we have to talk. First of all, you're late. Now, usually, I don't get on people's cases when they're late, but you're a Fad Radcator. You're not just anybody, okay? Second of all, there's no second of all. I'm just giving you grief. Welcome. Welcome aboard. Oh, thank you, Henry. That's Bavarian for Squirrel Tail. Welcome aboard. Can we call you Squirrel Tail? Respectfully. MHM Machine Works sent me an emoji, which I cannot quite see. It's a grasshopper. Is that a grasshopper? Chris says, I can't type stupid comments faster on the YouTubes. Yes, you can. K-Bonk says, safe packing and travels. You are here too. Okay, good. Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, so the big, we're packing continuously. We've been doing this for days. But the big pack out is day after tomorrow. The movers come with the moving truck. And we're out of here. Thanks, Almost. I appreciate it. So my job in this whole moving thing is I'm moving Mom. So we're getting in my car and we're heading north. Don't tell her, but I'm taking her to Ryan's Deli. Oh, so Chris really meant to say, oh, Fad Radcator and K-Bonk are the same people because I'm an idiot. Sorry. Chris says he can type stupid comments faster on the YouTubes, so he's all for it because there's a lot of stupid comments that Chris actually wants to, yeah. Oh, so MHM Machine Works posted the cricket icon. Now this is important. We have to understand this, indicating that when asked for reasons not to leave Instagram for the lives, we only heard crickets. Adam, that was an acceptable response. Paul Morley just arrived. Paul is vying for the award today of the last guy in before we quit. Hey, Paul. Oh, K-Bonk. Come now. It's called Ryan's Deli, R-E-I-N apostrophe S. It's actually called Ryan's New York Style Deli in Vernon, Connecticut. If you haven't been there, Stop what you're doing and go there. You may be late or you may be exactly on time, Paul. I don't know. Anyway, I have been going to Ryan's Deli since 1979. And it was because I lived, I grew up in New York and I went to school in Boston. And if you do that route, not quite halfway, a little closer to Boston, but that's where Ryan's was. And except for COVID, I could not pass Ryan's Deli. I always stopped at Ryan's Deli. And we're getting back into that now. the last guy in who threw parts off the grinder this week. Yes. So can we talk about, I think we'll save that for next week. How about that, Paul? You show up on time for next week's live, and let's talk about that. Because I think we can all learn from your experience. If you haven't seen, actually, I don't think you posted about it. But Paul threw a couple of parts off the grinder, and I think we need to talk about that. So I'm going to take that for next week. If I wasn't so distracted, I would have remembered it for this week. You might. Danny Bradley says I might make it for lunch Tuesday. Well, I don't know what time it's going to happen, but it's not going to be lunch. I think it's going to be afternoon, like late afternoon. It might be. I might just be picking up takeout, but we usually take out stuff, including. Anyway, lots of good stuff. Okay, so with that, I'm going to wrap this sucker up, and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next week. Thanks for indulging my randomness at this remote location and tolerating me looking over here and then looking over here and then looking over here and looking over here. We'll get back to the shop. We'll get that back to normal. I hope you guys have an awesome Sunday, and yeah, we'll see you next week. Bye now. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Indiana John. Who am I going to turn off first? Okay, YouTube. See ya.